I never got to say goodbye, not because I wasn't there, but because the last time I spoke to my mother, I hung up the phone, mid-sentence. She was still talking when I ended the call. And 3 days later, she was gone. I need you to understand something before I tell you the rest of this story. I loved my mother, deeply, completely, in the way that only children who were raised by women who gave everything can understand. She was the kind of mother who remembered every small thing, the name of your third-grade teacher, the song you loved when you were 7, the way you liked your eggs on Sunday mornings. She remembered everything about everyone she loved, and she loved loudly. That was the thing about her. She didn't hold it back. She said it in phone calls that went on too long. She said it in text messages with too many exclamation marks. She said it in the way she always had food ready whenever you came through the door, even if you hadn't told her you were coming. She just knew. Mothers like that, they always know. But she also had opinions, strong ones. And she was not afraid to share them. It started the year I turned 43. My marriage had been falling apart quietly for years. The kind of falling apart that happens so slowly you almost convince yourself it isn't happening. My mother saw it before I admitted it to myself. She started saying things, carefully at first. Small observations wrapped in concern. "You seem tired lately. Are you and James okay? I just want you to be happy, you know that." And I would brush it off, change the subject. Tell her everything was fine, but she kept asking. Every phone call, every Sunday visit, she kept pulling at the thread. And I kept telling her to leave it alone. The truth was, I wasn't ready to look at my marriage, honestly. And every time she brought it up, she was forcing me to stand in front of a mirror I didn't want to look into. So I did what people do when they can't face the truth. I got angry at the person holding the mirror. It was a Thursday evening. I remember because I was exhausted. Work had been brutal that week. James and I had barely spoken in 3 days. I was holding everything together with nothing left. My mother called at 7:30. We talked for a few minutes about nothing important. Her garden, a neighbor, something she had watched on television. And then she asked, "How are things at home?" Really? And something in me just snapped. I told her I was tired of her asking, that I was an adult, that my marriage was my business and not hers, that she needed to stop treating me like I was still a child who couldn't manage her own life. I said things that were sharp, things designed to end the conversation. And when she tried to respond, when I heard her voice change into that quieter register that meant she was trying not to cry, I told her I had to go, and I hung up. I put the phone face down on the counter, and I stood in my kitchen, and I felt for about 30 seconds, relieved. The relief of someone who has finally said the thing they have been swallowing for months. But underneath the relief, something else. Something that felt like standing on the edge of something I couldn't see the bottom of. I didn't call her back that night. I told myself I would let things settle, give us both a day or two. She didn't call either, which was unusual. My mother always called, first, always. The fact that she didn't, I noticed it. But I told myself it was good, that she was respecting my space, that this was healthy. 1 day became 2, 2 became 3. On the 3rd morning, my sister called, not to talk, not to check in, just 2 words. "Come now." My mother had collapsed at home the night before, a stroke. Sudden, without warning. By the time I got to the hospital, she was unconscious. She never woke up. She died early the following morning, before the sun came up, with me sitting beside her, holding a hand that could no longer hold mine back. And the last words she ever heard from me were the words I had said on that Thursday evening, on a phone call I had ended while she was still talking. "I want to tell you that grief is simple, that it comes in waves and then slowly gets easier, and eventually you find peace. But that is not always how it works. Because some grief comes with something attached to it. Something heavier than sadness, guilt. The kind of guilt that doesn't just sit on your chest, it moves in. It becomes the voice that speaks first thing in the morning, before you are fully awake." She died thinking you were angry with her. I replayed that Thursday phone call so many times I could recite it word for word. Every sharp thing I said, every opportunity I had to soften. The moment she tried to respond and I cut her off. The way I put the phone face down, like she was an inconvenience. And the worst part, the thing that still wakes me up some nights even now, was that she had been right. About all of it. My marriage did fall apart. James left 8 months after she died. She had seen it coming from miles away. She hadn't been interfering. She had been trying to prepare me, and I had hung up on her for it. 6 weeks after the funeral, my sister found something, a card. Unsealed in my mother's handwriting, sitting on her desk like she had just written it, and hadn't decided whether to send it yet. It was addressed to me. My sister called me before she opened it, asked if I wanted to read it myself. I drove over that same afternoon. I sat at my mother's kitchen table, the same table where she had fed me 1,000 meals, and I opened it. It wasn't long, just 1 page. Her handwriting, slightly uneven toward the bottom where her hand always got tired. She said she was sorry if she had been pushing too hard. She said she only asked because watching me struggle without saying anything felt impossible for her. She said, I know you think I don't trust you to figure things out, but I do. I just love you more than I know what to do with sometimes. And at the very bottom, I'm not angry. I hope you're not either. Call me when you're ready. I'll be here. She had written it the day after our argument. She was waiting for me to call. She was always waiting, and I had waited 3 days too long. There are things I know now that I wish I had known then. I know that when someone who loves you asks hard questions, they are not attacking you. They are standing beside you in the dark trying to find a light switch. I know that pride is expensive. The cost of it is not paid immediately. It collects quietly and presents itself at the worst possible moment. I know that the people who push at us most are usually the ones who can see us most clearly. And I know that the words I'll call her tomorrow are some of the most dangerous words a person can say. Because tomorrow is not promised. Not for them. Not for you. Not for anyone. We walk around with the illusion that there is always more time, more phone calls, more Sunday visits, more chances to say the thing we haven't said yet. And most of the time, there is. But sometimes there isn't. And you don't find out which kind of time you had until it is already gone. I am not the same person I was before that Thursday evening. I don't think I was supposed to be. I carry my mother with me now, not as a wound, but as a lesson I paid a very high price to learn. I don't end phone calls in anger anymore, not with anyone I love, even when I am exhausted, even when the conversation is hard, even when every part of me wants to put the phone down and walk away. I stay, because I know what it costs to leave. I kept her letter. It sits folded in the same place. I keep the things that matter most to me. And on the days when I feel the guilt creeping back, when that voice starts in the early morning telling me what I took from her, I read it again. I'm not angry. I hope you're not either. Call me when you're ready. I'll be here. She forgave me before I ever asked. That is the kind of woman she was. That is the kind of love she had. If you are in the middle of a silence with someone you love right now, end it today. Not because you were wrong. Maybe you weren't. Not because the argument didn't matter. Maybe it did. But because you do not know, you cannot know which phone call is the last one. You do not know which goodbye at the front door is the final one. You do not know which ordinary Tuesday is the last ordinary Tuesday you will ever have with that person. So end the silence. Make the call. Say the thing that needs to be said. Because as the most painful words in the human language are not I hate you, they are I should have called. If this story reached something in you, share it with someone who is holding a silence they are not ready to break. Sometimes all it takes is someone else's story to give us the courage to pick up the phone. Subscribe to The Untold Cost for a new story every week. I will see you in the next one.